been?
Where did you dig up that old fossil?
Going to Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
That's no move.
We're all fine here now, thank you. How are you?
Welcome to the Star Wars Nerds Podcast. I'm Dan Vadabonker.
And I'm Kenton Larson.
And we have finally reached the end of Andor. I'm sure this time, I'm very sure, Kenton,
Yes.
that this, it was very clear, this leads right into the beginning of Rogue One, and we'll get to that in a second. And I do also want to congratulate you on being right about a key detail that was revealed at the end of this show. But again, we'll get to that.
I think it was telegraphed somewhat clearly, so I don't know that was an incredible prediction, but I'm glad at least one prediction came true.
Because we did not have any Darth Vader or Palpatine or any cameos of any kind. And we had, I think it'll be easier for us to discuss this because we had at least one very different episode and then two that were basically, the other two were basically like a prequel to Rogue One, is how I'm thinking of it, right? They felt very much like Rogue One, those two episodes. And the first one of these three was basically just all about, what's his name? Now I can't believe Luthen, thank you. Luthen Rael.
And Clea?
Clea.
Is that her name?
Girl, yes. And so it's kind of a backstory on him. And he is and then his ultimate death, but it was really, the whole thing was like, talking about how he gets captured, and then intermixed with like flashbacks as what's her name? I already lost it. Clea, thank you. Clea is like remembering all her memories of him, and so how they met and that kind of stuff, right? So this is the first episode is all about Luthen. What were your thoughts on it?
I love Andor. I love these episodes, just like last week. I think it's some of my favorite Star Wars ever. I of course last year I was like, no, Luthen is a Jedi. So there's a prediction I was very wrong about. Yeah. I was like, that thing was a lightsaber he was holding. Come on, can't anybody see it's a lightsaber? I was like, come on. So in a way, I was happy that it didn't go down that path, because that would have begged a whole lot of other questions that then but he appeared, he was working for the Empire, and I thought he found Clea, and she looked a little like Newt in Aliens.
Yeah, you get that, and messy hair. He was like, basically he's a soldier. He kind of reminds me of Solo in Solo, and he's got kind of a similar helmet, although he's an officer. I believe he's an officer, and like they're asking where he is, sergeant or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe not an officer, but
Why
anyway,
are they saying sergeant? I can't remember if they said it, or I can't remember.
Yeah. But anyway, but the first part of it, sorry, we kind of skipped over the opening where he gets the information about the Death Star. You finally have kind of broken through, and it was, again, I should have these names. The name of his informant, the guy who wanted out, the guy who, like, at the beginning of the season, they had the conversation in the elevator. And he's like, "This is it, I'm done." He's like, "Well, you're never done. We're gonna keep using you." And he's like, "You're always," and he wasn't, and he's the guy who provides the information about the Death Star. He basically hacks into Dedra's email, I guess, I don't know, something like that, and he's got all the information about everything that she wasn't supposed to have, that she had it, because she collects information, she gets things, and she has a whole thing about that later. But basically he has all the information about the Death Star. He spends 3 hours, they learn later, downloading this and learning all of it. It's interesting to me that at this point there's nothing that actually transferred. It's just verbal information, right? He signals Luthen. Luthen goes and meets him on a park bench. It was very like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. I kind of like that. Very spy. Or we're just gonna talk it out. He's gonna tell me everything. He did. He's like, "Tell me." He's like, is my family gonna be safe? He's like, "Just tell me what's going on." Like, Luthen is just being Luthen, right? He's just like, "Tell me the information." Did you know he was gonna kill him?
It crossed my mind.
Yeah. Were you surprised? Are the better way of saying, were you surprised?
I felt bad. I felt bad. I was not surprised, but I felt bad for that guy.
Yeah.
Because you're not, you just said you're not done till you're done. You're not done until you're done, like dinner, basically. Like you're gonna be done. And that means, and who knows what happened to his family, okay, after that, right? But then again, maybe they would be considered to be disconnected from what he was up to.
I don't know. Who knows what happens to the people?
Who knows?
Anyway.
Yeah, so, but that's a great scene. And once again, I can't think of that character's name either, but I thought it was well executed. It happened quickly. He was discovered by a loth cat. You see the little animal looking, it looks like a dog, and then the face turns and it's a cat face. So that was there was some pretty cool and interesting stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree.
So
yeah,
little add-ons that just added quite a bit.
yeah.
So yeah, I great opening scene, and it reminded me, okay, the TV show The Shield.
Yeah.
The Shield, Vic Mackey is the bad cop who's like, and for 7 seasons or whatever, you just see him like, oh, like almost get caught, and you're just like, oh, it's so it's just as stressful as watching Andor. And then the final season, it's just like, oh, one horrible thing after another. All of the stuff that is going to happen starts to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what this episode reminded me of, well, we knew that this discovery was going to be made. We knew that this informant was going to be dead, done like dinner, like one way or another. This informant was not going to make it out the other end.
We knew that Dedra was going to track down Luthen, right? And that's like the next step. So he goes back, he meets with, well, he actually just goes and meets with Clea, and they meet up and they talk about it. He gives her all the information and says, go and tell the Alliance, or tell the rebels, tell somebody about this, right? Because this is like the whole thing about the Death Star. It's like the energy project. I love that they covered up by it being an energy project. But it's also behind the whole thing on Gorman, everything that happened there, and all that stuff. So she goes off to go warn something. What does she do? I don't remember. She goes out for a second. We follow him back to the shop. He's gonna basically torch everything. He's gonna he starts melting. He's got this like acid goo that he pours, and it slowly kind of melts away at the discs or the storage. I don't know. That looks like, and I gotta say, I like the gadgets in this series. In this like all the clicking together, the cords going to holes. It's all very old school kind of gadgetry in this, and I really enjoyed that throughout this season. So he goes back to destroy the evidence and basically get out of there. And then there's a doorbell, and then I'm like, don't answer it. What do you do?
What if he didn't answer it? What if there's a few what if
there, and then go home? I'm like, why would you answer that? For the story to happen. Yes, I know that, but it's just like I don't know.
He knows it's coming.
I know he knows. I know.
But my friend of mine who loves Andor said the only thing that bothered him was, why didn't Luthen have like a back door, an escape hatch, because he's a guy who always thought about everything. And it's like, maybe, but he was also realistic about things too. And he could have just bailed out of that planet, no problem, without trying to burn the stuff, or he could have gotten out of there, and he knows he could have, but then not without compromising everything that he had been working for. So it was like he kind of had it in his mind that this was the end game. I think
he made the decision.
Yeah, this is how it's going to end, and so be it.
Okay. So the thing is, he is a very valuable person, and they do want to take him alive so they can torture him for information. Yeah. So Dedra shows up, she's at the front door, and they go through this kind of charade of pretending she's a customer, and he's showing her a thing, shows her this it turns out to be a dagger, right? I don't know, I can't remember what they call it. But it's this thing, and he's showing it to her, and then he's like, oh, I've got something to show you. It's an Imperial Star Path unit. And she brings out this like the burnt and mangled piece of equipment that started it all.
Yeah.
It's the thing that Andor had at the beginning, right? Is that the piece that he was trying to sell them, or that he did sell them? So he brings it all back, and how does that connect? Like, how did you get here is my question. How did Dedra figure out he was at that store? We don't know that, right? It's been a year. She's had a year to figure it out, basically.
Right. And that's a lot of time. And actually, a lot of time has gone by since that first season.
Right.
Like, we're jumping ahead 1 year at a time, in fact. So it did take forever. I love how the discussion goes from both of them acting to both of them speaking realistically about what's actually going on. And what I like about it is there's no panic. There's no like, shit, I'm running, I'm getting you. No, nothing like that. It's just all like, oh, okay, like we're just going to continue the same low key conversation here now that the jig is up. And I thought that was pretty good.
She says the building's surrounded. He's like, I know, like
Yeah.
he knows it's
Yeah.
surrounded. I think he does have a back way, actually. Now that I think about it, he does have like through his closet. I think there's a secret. Didn't he come in that way one time? We see him come in
Maybe,
from his
yeah.
secret spaceship. Anyway, there's a way, but I think he realizes that he wouldn't be able to get off planet. Like there's no way he'd be able to get out of there. And so he just kind of you know, resigns himself to the fact, and I think he did decide to take his own life at that moment because he turns away. She's calling the troops in. He just takes that dagger and stabs himself. Now I don't know why he didn't get himself right in the heart. He kind of got like in the middle. He went right in the center because that's more symbolic. No, but he's not quite dead. They have to keep him alive so they can question him. But then we find out that Dedra did all this on her own, and she gets in big trouble. She gets in she gets arrested for all the crap she does, because they take him to the hospital. They have him on life support. They've got him on the Star Wars equivalent of an iron lung. I kind of like that.
Yeah.
That thing going up and down. Like, wouldn't they just stick him in a tank of Bacta? Isn't that what a Star Wars hospital?
Well, we saw something in a tank of Bacta with a cone head.
That's right.
And I was waiting for everybody to say what is it? How do you say his name? Ki Adi Mundi. That guy.
Right.
I thought everyone's gonna go, it's him, but nobody seems to be saying that. So that's good. But I liked the Star Wars ambulance and the Star Wars siren, and I liked the Star Wars hospital.
Yeah.
And I thought
Star Wars elderly patient who doesn't know what's going on.
Oh, I love the elderly patient. I thought that was amazing. Like a comically looking and acting character in a serious as hell scene. I was like, it's so weird. It's perfect for Star Wars. Perfect weird for Star Wars.
Yeah, because Clea. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, and we also are introduced to the commandos.
Yeah.
Who don't wear helmets, and those guys are pretty scary. I have to say, those were like, you don't really want to mess with them.
They remind me of the dogs in Slow Horses. I've just finished watching all of Slow Horses, and they got these big the enforcers, the guys who just like the SWAT team or the goon squad, and they're like those guys. They don't wear a helmet because so you can see how badass they look. The guy's got a huge handlebar mustache and shaved head, and he's he looks like he should be in Snatch or a Guy Ritchie movie. You know?
Right, right.
Comes out of. So they got those guys, and they're gonna go after them. But we're missing a part. Hold on, where are we in the story here?
Well, he sends her back. He sends Clea before this all happens.
Right. But Clea has to go into the hospital. Yes, so Clea has to go to the hospital. And I thought, like, for a minute, I'm like, is she gonna try and save him? But like, no, she can't. There's no way she can get out of there. She barely gets in by herself. Like, her getting in is impressive, the way she does that. And she basically just shoots everybody as she comes in, and just kind of like with the distraction of the explosion. Everyone goes to the explosion. The Imperials are idiots throughout this entire thing. And that's very plain. I'll right up to the
bad planning we talked about last week. Continues. Like it continues. They're easily distracted. Yeah, they're confused.
They send out everybody looking for her, and they send out all the resources out on this wild goose chase to look for this woman when she's staying right by the hospital. Yeah. So they're all far away from the hospital when they need them. And so she goes in there to basically to turn off the machine. She unhooks the lung, and he dies. And this is when we're getting throughout this whole process, we get these flashbacks to them. She's a kid. They're on this planet. He's having second thoughts. He's very much like Finn or Han, really. Other characters we've seen like this who does want to fight for the Empire. And that's kind of like the final straw, right? Is him finding this girl, and he gets out of there with her. And then they kind of start off in their adventures together. But
we don't know why he's an expert at antiques. We still don't know why, but we see him dealing in antiques that they're selling in order to maintain their life.
Yeah.
And they see some citizens, and including a kid, being shot by Imperial troops, and it's Clea makes the decision that's how she wants life to go now. She wants them to be sticking it to the Empire at every turn, and he gives her the opportunity to see it through.
And she stays to witness the shooting of those citizens, and he walks away. He doesn't want to see it, but she does, and that's when she makes the decision to kind of that's the beginning of the rebellion right there.
Yeah,
right. Those two,
right,
making that decision. They start working. They start building. They're building, and by the end of this, they say we couldn't be here without Luthen, and they're right. Luthen built all of the stuff that would become the rebellion. But that moment when she comes back from that, And it was very deep. It was, and okay, I'll just tell you, Kenton, I just watched Sophie's Choice. I'm watching them with the Meryl.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I watched Sophie's Choice, so it's making me very much feel like these were Nazis, right? This is what we're paralleling, right? This is what this is. Anyway, so that was like it's fresh in my mind. And so Clay goes in, she has to get him, she disconnects his thing, and then she gets out of there, and then she gets to the freaking safe house that the whole season they've been at this safe house, and she gets back to that safe house and she sends out a distress signal, right? And that distress signal goes to what's his name in Yavin.
Right.
Timon? I can't remember. There's too many names. Can't keep his name in my head.
No, that's the other guy. That's the guy he's meeting at the beginning.
Yeah, he's meeting Timon. There's another T name, Timon. I think it's Timon or something like that. Anyway, but he comes and gets Andor. We're back at Andor's little treehouse, and he's living there with K2SO, who's hilarious, and he is himself. Like that's what made it feel like Rogue One was that character being back and just being like he is hilarious and just observational. Like just dry wit and just speaking up. Like it's really not like any other droid we've seen in Star Wars. And then his buddy, who I guess they become friends. Like they kind of introduced him a little bit in the previous episode, but it was like, hey, this is my gun. And that's it. But then he's now more part of the group. So he's kind of a new character. He's their friend. He's like their roommate, and they're living together and they're playing. Are they playing Sabacc? Kenton, is that what they're playing in this scene?
I couldn't tell you. In fact, was this part of that first episode? I don't remember, or was it? I don't remember that being.
No, sorry, that's in the second. I've already moved on to the second episode because that was the first episode was all Luthen. It was all Luthen.
Yeah,
and we don't.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just gonna say the fade out on that first episode, that slow fade out that we got after Luthen was dead, or whatever. I think that shows you also the importance of the character. Yeah. Like we want to concentrate on this moment and the slow fade. I thought there might actually be something after the fade out, and there wasn't.
No.
So again, and the kiss on the forehead as well that she gave him, I thought that was like one of the big emotional moments on that show. And she leaves just as the commandos, they're like in the same hallway.
She walks past them.
Right.
She gets past them. And then they find all this out by surveillance after the fact. But yeah, sorry, that is the end. You're right. They do take a moment to like really linger on that character, saying this is the most important guy in this whole thing. He started it all. And it was because of her. So she kind of becomes the most important character after that. And so she's got to get off of Coruscant. Yes, go ahead.
Right. And it also occurs to me they're on Naboo in the flashback.
That's right.
Says you can push the button or not push the button.
Yeah.
If you don't push the button, then we can have this lifestyle that we've set up for ourselves. Or if you do push the button, then we can do that instead. You decide. And she goes, boop. She pushes the button.
No, doesn't he take it away from her and push it?
No, she pushes it.
Okay.
It's her choice.
Yeah.
He goes, I'm leaving it up to you. You do it. You do what you want to do. And so she pushes the button, and then she looks, and he goes, don't look now. Look away. Only look after it happened.
Yeah.
Boom, it blows up. Okay, now you can look. And then you can sort of see him training her for the future rebellion. I thought that was really cool. And it was nice to see Naboo again. There wasn't a gungan to be seen.
No, I think that would have like I was recognizable as Naboo. I thought it was anyway in their architecture and the bridges and that kind of stuff. But they could have thrown a gungan in there. And then sorry. He also
has Amidala's headpiece in his museum. We've seen in there. We've seen that in there before. And I was like, wow, he's been to Naboo. Maybe they stole it while they were there, or who knows?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so then into the second episode, and this is focused on Andor, and he is playing Sabacc. I believe it's Sabacc with K2SO and his buddies, and it's pretty hilarious. K2SO playing poker. And so, but then they get the distress call, and they have to scam their way off the planet again. It's hilarious. They just like going up for a test flight. Just tell us something so we don't get shut down. But they're like just taking off again. So this is the second time we've seen them do it. They're not like they're pissed off again, but they can't do anything about it. And so he's going back to Coruscant he thinks he's going to get Luthen. He thinks it's Luthen that's asking for help. He doesn't know Luthen's dead. So they go off, and what happens? I mean, they have to get to the safe house.
Right. That's what the whole episode is about, basically. Is let's go there. We've got to extract her, and You know it's going to be a difficult mission. You know what's happening.
Kind of had the vibe of like the Raid kind of thing, because it's all in
Yeah.
one apartment building basically, and those guys are going in, the dogs are going in with the one commando guy who can kind of track down the radio signal, because that's how they find out. I really got to say, then there's some really great side characters. The woman who was like the woman who was like trying to figure out the melted console there was great, and then the guy they go to for the surveillance footage when he's babbling about stuff, and he was hilarious too. So like little funny sprinkles of comedy throughout this these things, right? But yeah, so yeah, that whole episode is basically that. So the way they're spending way too much time talking to this girl. I'm like, get her and get out. What are you doing?
I know. Yeah,
What are you doing?
We were all yelling like, go, like.
And then the third episode opens and they're still talking in the apartment. I'm like, go. What are you guys doing? Like the whole two episodes, like it went into the second episode that they to them getting out of there. And they needed K2SO to help them ultimately.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's a great scene.
Yeah, and he is really a murder bot. Hey, he will kill people like no problem.
And we got, so he leaves the ship and they think it's just like some droid patrol or something.
One of their own. Yeah, it's an droid, right?
And so he just starts knocking people, but the guy inside the ship who he takes care of, you get the shot from above of the guy like bloody on the console. I thought that was also pretty harsh for Star Wars.
Yeah.
And then he proceeds like, and I thought I died laughing actually when the like Andor's friend, whatever his name is, he's standing in the hallway and they're like, do not move, and he just goes whoop, and he just like he runs.
Oh, sudden movements, and he's like, and he's like, that was a sudden movement, and they didn't. It's like, no, hold your fire, like they want to take him alive, right?
Yeah.
But I thought he was just gonna like be very very slow about.
Yeah, no, he's like, no, he just.
That was like a kind of a like a Mel Brooks kind of a moment.
Yeah,
everything's kind of like a little.
Yeah, I died laughing because I was like, that I did not expect that, and it was very comically.
Yeah.
Like suddenly he's like, no sudden movement. Boo. That was pretty sudden. It was so sudden they couldn't do anything.
Yeah, and then Andor is like smartly keeps the door open so they can shoot at these guys, and they have a bit of a standoff in the apartment. But they do have to, like, it is basically a K2SO who just comes in there and powers his way through and kills everybody.
He lifts the guy it makes him the human shield that they're all shooting. It's horrible. But that's like a signature move. I don't think we've ever seen that in Star Wars.
No, and then he throws the other guy across the hallway, and he's like, Cassie, I've cleared a path. Like he's very proper about it. And it's I don't know, it's interesting. You start to see the beginnings of this, but it really, as we learn, like again, this leads right into the end of Rogue One. So they have not been together very long when we see them in Rogue One, right? I guess it's been a year. It's been a year since the last one, right? So they activated him, he's had him for a year, and now they go off in this adventure. But yeah, it looks like he's like trying to earn his trust or something, and Cassian's being very cold, and he's kind of learning from Luthen the way Cassian's not being like, because Bix is gone, he has no more personal relationships, he's just being very cold and like not trying to grow attached the way he grew attached to B, his droid, that we see later on in the episode, the last episode. Okay, so they get off of the planet, right? And they get back to Yavin.
I love the Yavin stuff. Love the Yavin stuff.
They don't. Do we get to Dedra? Do we find out what happens to her in the? Because I think we only touched on her very briefly in the third episode. But like she's in a prison. She's going to prison basically.
Well, we don't. She's being interrogated at this point.
Yeah.
And Krennic, who's like, grabs her by the head. He manhandles her head, I guess.
Points like, and he's like, so, oh man.
Yeah,
and this person, whoever directed this episode, like cut off frames. There's a lot of cut off frames. There's a scene where he's like above her. You only see like the bottom of his face when he's talking to her, and he's like, "What?" He's like, "Say the word." She's like, "Death Star," and he should have said, "That's 2 words." But that's.
I thought that too. I thought that's what was gonna happen. I thought that was he was gonna say that. But so you see her being interrogated, and I think at that point she still thinks like she's such a careerist. I don't think like she's been focused on going above and beyond, and that's the thing that's getting her into trouble, is having information she shouldn't already have
and letting it sneak, right? And so, and from his perspective, he thinks she's a leak. He thinks she's a deliberate leak, and because the other guy got access to her email, and then but she thinks she's still getting in trouble for like doing the raid early. Like remember she did the raid. She's like, "You waited for my day off," and she's like, "Whatever." Like
Yeah.
So she thinks she's in trouble for that, and she feels confident in talking her way out of it because she thinks he's still alive, right? She's like, I can get him talking in a couple of days, it's no problem. But he's dead. She's dead. There's no point. And she kind of learns that. I think it's interesting that you just show like him outside. Krennic leaves, and he kind of gets some news, and he just looks down like, and then like it was all for nothing because he died. So what's the point of all of this? So, and I just realized, Krennic's first name is Orson, right? Orson Krennic.
Yeah.
You think he might be the Krennic or the Orson that Mork has been talking to all these years?
It's possible. It's possible. I'm sure he's named. Yeah, sure he's named after Orson Welles. I'm sure.
Probably, yeah, more likely. But I just immediately thought of Mork to Orson because he's always talking to somebody in space. That could be Orson Krennic.
You don't really hear a lot of first names in the Empire.
No, Cassian Andor, right? Yeah, we don't know. We don't like, and I guess Mon is her first name, Mon Mothma. Anyway. Okay, so he has got to go back to when he gets back, they don't trust him, they don't believe him, and Bale is there, by the way.
Yeah,
Bale really doesn't believe him about what the Death Star stuff, and what's her name's being she's getting healed, so she's not able to tell them anyway.
It becomes clear, like it's a weird combination of government control over a rebellion. And so they're trying to get all their processes down, and they really are obsessed with we need proof of this stuff. We can't just be running all over the place without it because we're endangering what we've got going here each time we do that.
Right.
And so it kind of reminds me of like at work when like you want to do something. And then the boss is like, I need to do some research. And you're just like, oh my God, like, let's just get on with this. And that's Cassian going like, come on. I know this is true. Oh, really? Where's the proof? Oh, for God's sake.
Died for it. Luthen died for it. You know it's true, right? That's his conviction. So, and the other thing is that we also get them in the middle of a call with Saw, and they're warning, and we start hearing the hints of Rogue One. So Saw is on Jedha. They say, we know you're on Jedha. We know you're taking out their patrols. Stop doing this. You're making this dangerous for all of us. And Saw is just like, you guys don't know what's going on.
And he's nuts. And it's clear he's crazy.
You got a little glimpse of it. But now he's like full on. He's got his mask, and he's like, he looks like he looks in Rogue One. So we are right up against Rogue One at the end of this.
We never found out how he got his bionic leg.
Yeah, I don't know.
I thought we would. I thought we were going to see that.
Maybe we'll get that in a comic book or something. So
no, who cares? But I hate the shit that happens in comics.
Okay.
C-3PO got a red arm. Well, J.J. Abrams gave him one. Is that that's right. Red arm? But sorry, what were we saying? Oh yeah. So I liked. Now you're right. The integration with Rogue One. So I liked Admiral Raddus is there, and some other characters from the Council from Rogue One, which was nice to see them back. And although we did not get Blue Leader like I thought we were going to get, I thought that was a gimme. I thought no problem. I'm happy that they didn't cart R2-D2 and C-3PO through there because I thought, oh, that'd just be too.
Yeah, well, I mean,
much.
I think that they probably made a decision like, no, we're not doing that for this entire show. And so we kept expecting it and kept being disappointed. But it's like, no, it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to bring back all these legacy characters every single time, right? And I think that's good. Otherwise, we're going to get sick of them. It makes it more special when it does happen.
Yeah, I do think it was for the best because this was not a show. This isn't a show about cameos at all.
No, even though they could have had a ton of them, right? But
they could have had a ton, and it could have been, and it could have even been fan service, and fans might have loved it. But I think in the end, that the show they produced was far more powerful as a result. You weren't just waiting for the next cameo to show up, and it was in this episode that I thought I still do miss Jimmy Smits as Bale. I thought Bale was kind of irritating. Oh, that's his job in this episode, but I thought Smits would have brought a little more humanity, and I thought Brat was more of a he's more of a jerk about it.
Yeah, I agree. I think Smits, like at the end there where he says, "May the force be with you," I'm like, yeah. Smits would have done that better. Smits would have had a better delivery that one.
I think that's probably true.
But it's fine. Whatever. I wasn't too worried about that.
No, it didn't bug me that much either. Like that's just a small. If we're splitting hairs here,
right?
Then I'll say I do prefer Smits if I'm given the choice. But I think I think Brat did a great job.
Yeah.
He he is an asshole there in terms of being being the guy going, no, we can't just.
Yeah, and he's like the devil's advocate, right? So he has to and then through a series of like conversations, and there's a lot of talking in this episode that wasn't as action packed as the other ones, and it was kind of like the final episode where everything gets wrapped up, right? Like the action was in the other one, the penultimate episode.
Yeah.
So this one is like, okay, it's tying up things and connecting it to Rogue One. So we have well, first of all, we have what's his name? Again, this also reminds me of World War II. The commander of the ISB, the British guy that you like. Why can't
Yeah.
Radagast or something? Not Radagast.
I can't remember his name.
Arbogast.
Can't remember.
He has a bit of a Hitler moment where he just kind of takes his own life. That's got to be the first time we've seen that in Star Wars, or didn't see it, but very, very heavily implied.
And what a weird scene where the guy says, yeah, they're waiting for you. And he's like, could I have a moment to collect my thoughts? And the guy's like, sure, because he knows. And he knows.
He knows, yeah.
So he's standing outside, the other guy's standing outside the room with 2 stormtroopers. What a weird scene. And he hears, pow, from inside. And the stormtroopers are moving. Yeah, and he holds up his hand and goes, no.
It's okay.
That's all right. We all know what happened in there. Let's give his corpse a moment. I'm not sure, but that's quite an interesting scene, I thought. There's no way that would be handled that way in another Star Wars property.
No, and he'd been listening to, before he did that, he'd been listening to the what's it called? Of that guy from the first season, the British kid who's like the idealist. He had his manifesto, basically. It's a manifesto that he recorded that he given to, I guess he given it to Andor, but he probably put it out there. Like it's a podcast. It's like probably the most downloaded podcast of Star Wars, where everyone's listened to this, and it's really powerful stuff. It's like the rebellion is everywhere. Every single little victory it makes us stronger, and it was very, very compelling stuff. So I think he just saw like the futility of everything ahead of them. All the like, it'd have been nice. They had a little moment there where they had like a little bit of Imperial control, but it's gonna all come crashing down. And he doesn't want to be there for it, and he's probably gonna get like tortured by Darth Vader in a second. So, or the Emperor maybe would do his finger lightning at him. Like, who knows what's gonna happen to this guy? So he'd rather just blast himself in the head, and that's it. So yeah, that was dark. That was dark for Star Wars for sure.
Well, that was so. And then Luthen also had attempted to take his own life. So like that was a couple times in this these final 3 episodes, you saw folks dealing with. Whereas I think Deidre didn't do that. She could have done that, but I think she really thought that she was going to sort all of this out back at the Home Office. I really think that she did think that.
Yeah. She even gave that guy some information. The guy came there for help, and she's like, okay, fine, look at this, look for this signal or whatever. Yeah. Like, she thought she would he's like, it won't hurt or whatever. He was basically using her to get himself, but she thought that at that point, she thought she still had an out, and she ends up in prison, the same prison that Andor was, well, not the same one, but the same kind of prison that Andor is in, a slave prison, basically working for the Empire. So who knows how long she did that. The
forever
ending montage was nice. I like that ending montage that kind of shows us. And we checked in with Day of Days, who just basically was like hanging out with. He's got a new girl. I guess Mon Mothma just left him, right? She left him on Coruscant.
Wow, but I think he actually and once again, remember, if we're only going forward by a year, that was his Day of Days too. It's all his Day of Days because we're going ahead 1 year at a time,
right?
And he's still living his best Day of Days life. And by the way, that woman who is next to him, that's his daughter's mother-in-law. That's her. That is the mother-in-law. That is the of the.
So did that guy die? Did that other guy die? The crime boss guy?
No, they're probably just having an affair.
Okay, all right. It's a lot in that one scene.
One shot. He looks out the window and takes a swig of the leftover booze, and I think almost has a wistful look in his eye. Like,
yeah, he misses the Day of Days in the past.
I think he's thinking about Mon Mothma. I think it's
maybe he is. Maybe.
Yeah, I think he is. I think he's a man who likes a good party, but in the end. And the amount that he knew about what was happening there, we don't know. We don't.
Yeah, I guess.
But we do know he lives.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. What else? Is there anything else?
You see, oh yeah. I mean, in that montage, and then we see Mon Mothma sitting next to, why can't I think of her name? They're in the mess hall.
Oh, the blonde girl who's not
Yeah.
blonde anymore. The one at the beginning who was a part of the original crew. Vel is her name.
Vel,
Her
that's
cousin
right.
Vel.
Thank you.
Right. So so Mothma goes to Vel and says, I love how Vel goes about doing this, but she says, go make sure see if his story is true.
Yeah.
And tell me if you believe him, or basically give me a reason to believe him, she says, because she wants to really believe what he's saying and do something about it. She's worried if she doesn't, they're gonna get destroyed. So Val goes to him and says, Mon wants me to know if you're telling the truth. Like, just flat out says to him.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of spy craft involved in that.
Oh.
That's what I thought too. But I thought that's what I would do too if my boss said to me.
Well, they've been through it together, right? They had a history, those two. They had to trust each other, so they trust each other. And she's gonna get to the point. So he goes through it with her, and they don't make us sit through it. What?
Is this true? Yes. Okay.
Well, he tells her, right? He tells her all about the Death Star and everything, that goes through the whole spiel again. Meanwhile, Clea wakes up from the hospital, and I didn't know what she was doing. She just went wandering, basically.
I'm glad she didn't jump off a cliff or something.
Yeah, I was worried about for a second.
You know, there's a beast running around in those.
Right. Yes, that's right.
Too. So I was like, wait a sec. They didn't lay the groundwork with that beast, did they? I was a little worried about that.
Yeah, no. So she runs up to Val, who's on her way home. It's all in the rain. It's a very kind of rainy moment, and so Val takes her in and talks to her, I guess, about it as well. So they all come back and convince. Oh yeah, and the other guy gets on board with it too, because he gets what's his name? Tivik is calling from the place where he ends up going in the beginning of Rogue One. What's it called again?
The ring. Remember when I said? Remember last week I said. It's a ring. He goes to a ring. And you're like, no, that's the Mandalorian. I was like, what? And it's because it's called the ring.
Ring.
That's why. Right. So and I was like, but it was and it's the two it's like connected by buildings, but it's two rocks.
Right. Yeah.
Kind of thing. So like, it's not like a circular ring, but it's called ring.
Yeah.
Which is how I easily mix them up in my mind. Yeah.
So he's getting getting a call from that guy, and he says it's urgent. He'll only talk to Andor. So that guy goes. I think that he brings back K2SO and his other buddy they are just being held because they're in trouble for taking off without permission.
Right.
And so then the guy convinces them. Well, actually, no. Actually, Bale has to come down and say, "You have your orders now. Go find out what he wants." Right. But they have this kind of conversation. I can't remember what the conversation was about.
Well, so in general, though, what this episode does is, and what these three do, is a very fine job of getting us ready for Rogue One.
Yeah.
Like, it's not heavy-handed. It's not, like, I think because the show is so subtle, it can get away with some moments, some sentimental moments that might be hacky. Like, if we would have seen some of these moments in the Obi-Wan show, we would have gone like, oh, come on. Because it would have been too much. But on a subtle show like this that earns those moments, I thought it did a very good job of weaving it together, and it didn't seem heavy-handed. We again see Cassian. Like, I love his walkout, his last walkout.
The master of the slow-mo walk.
Oh, he's got the jacket on. What a nice jacket. He's got a haircut, jacket.
He looks just like he does in the movie. They made sure of that, I'm sure.
I'm so happy the Force Lady.
Oh yeah.
He gives a nod, an ever so light nod to the Force Lady. And I want to see more of the Force Lady on other shows, because I just she could have just shown up in Return of the Jedi. Like, I just think perfect Star Wars casting right there. So I'm glad we saw her again. So here's my question for you, Dan. So we see Deidre in the prison, as we've said, which a perfect fate. We know you can't, only once have people escaped from such a prison. Did you think, because I did you think when the camera pulled back that we were going to see Andy Serkis in this prison?
No.
Oh, I did. I was like,
I like to think he got away. I like to think he found a way to get off of that prison, and even though he couldn't swim, he could find something to float his way off of there.
That might be the one loose end that I was like, please show us what happened.
Well, I thought it was nice that as soon as I saw her uniform, actually, they didn't pull back to the second shot to show it was actually the cell, but as soon as I saw that bit of orange, I'm like, oh yeah, that's the same kind of prison he was in, so I could see that. And then of course the final shot is of Bix back on the planet.
You see the droids. The droid has a friend.
Oh yeah, he's that little friend, little
He's
child.
happy.
Yes, he's they're playing tag or whatever. And then
Yeah.
Vix is walking around with the baby. So we get to find out that yes, she was pregnant, and it all makes sense because if she's pregnant, he's gonna go all in for that baby and he's not gonna care about anything else.
Right.
And then none of this happens, and then we don't get he's the one who does it all. He's the one who he gets the information back to the rebellion about the Death Star. He convinces them, and he's now gonna go and get the guy to find out about the plans, the Death Star plans. So then he's gonna and put all that in motion. So this guy is key to all of it. It's like the three people. This whole series is about the three people: Luthen, Andor, and Mon Mothma, who have formed the Empire, and that's what it is. Or sorry, not the Empire, the Rebellion.
Right.
Rebellion.
I thought that was very that beautiful last montage. I thought, like, once I saw it, I was like, every Star Wars show should end this way, like with the beautiful ones, because it was really, really well done. And by the way, I need to ask you, did you watch the credits all the way through?
Yeah, I fast forwarded through them just to see.
Okay. Well, did you?
No, what happened? It was black.
Music.
Was there music?
So it's all Andor music.
Okay.
And you really gotta let it go. Okay, so you let it go, you're like, oh, you're letting the Andor music wash over you, and then suddenly all of a sudden it goes da 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 da, and you get the Star Wars end theme that ends all of the original films.
Oh.
So you get the John Williams flourish right at the end, and I went, oh my God, does this ever make it cinematic? I was like, oh my, I'd love to watch those last 3 episodes in a theater.
Yeah.
For sure, because and just hearing the music, I was like, this is so good. Like this was a movie. This is a movie. This is what I want for a movie. I want 3 hours a week for a month. And that's a movie.
And they want people just to roll into Rogue One, right? I'm sure the first thing suggested as you're finishing that on Disney Plus is Rogue One, and you can roll right in and have oh no, Rogue One doesn't start with that music. Rogue One starts with weird music. It doesn't.
So Dan, I'm going to admit, I watched it. I watched Rogue One. I couldn't. Okay. I'll watch it again when we watch it.
Okay.
But I couldn't resist. I had to do it.
Okay.
So I watched it, and it's a better movie now.
Okay, I'm sure it is. Yeah, you care more about Andor for sure, right?
Yeah. And things that bothered me about it in the past, like I've always been a Rogue One, I shouldn't say hater, but I've always gone like, yeah, I don't like it. Nah, it's fine. It's 2.5 stars. Like I just never, I thought it's 2.5 stars with a great scene at the end. Like that's what I always say. I was like, I don't think it does. I don't know. Like what, but now I was riveted by it now as a result of the show. And there are, like, for one thing, Rogue One embraces these horrible cameos in a way that the Andor never does. And so I think that shows itself a little bit. I do think the music is weak, as you and I said when we first saw it. It's weaker than Andor, than the series, because it's somebody doing a John Williams, trying to do a John Williams. Right. And it doesn't really work. But I have to say, like a movie that I was so on, I kind of loved it, to tell you the truth.
Cool.
After that, and after seeing the backstory. So I do think we need to watch it and do a live play-by-play on it, just because and it does tie in beautifully. And it's true you can see a little bit that Andor maybe does look a little older in Andor, but it's not that bad. It's not that. Sure not. No, it's not so bad that, like, and the general guy from the Rebel base, I was like, that guy didn't age at all. Like that was weird. That guy just looks like that guy. For like so that's pretty good. There's things like that where I was like, wow, like how did they? It's like, why didn't they, like, what if this actor would have gained 80 pounds? Like what would they have done? Sort of thing. So there's a lot of great stuff in there now. And without getting too deep into it, I just think it's pretty amazing how the two fit together, and how now there's this really nice full bore. And I think it also points to the fact that that we can do this more than with just this show. And here's what I'm going to suggest, Dan, and maybe you have ideas about this too. What if Tony Gilroy were to continue this story? We've got Mon Mothma, Vel, we've got Bix, we've got other people at the Rebel base. We've got Bothans before Return of the Jedi that she talked.
Okay.
We have got lots of stuff to do that Mon Mothma has to do on her checklist
Okay.
between the end of this of Rogue One and the end of Return of the Jedi. And I think he's the man for the job. We could also track. We should call the show Young Andor. Okay, I'm just kidding. We should call the show Lil Andor.
No, because this is Mothma, so it's going to be her story. So little Mon,
Lil
Mon.
Mon.
Mini Mothma.
And then we could have the Day of Days story continue. We could have. I don't think Deidre is ever getting out of that prison. I hate to say it.
No, I know. I don't know. I think I'm glad it ended here. I don't want to see anything else. We're weaving our way through the original trilogy, and that's territory I don't really want to do.
But it works so well here. But only Tony Gilroy is allowed to do it.
I don't know. You can't have that rule. Nobody will respect that.
I don't want Michael Bay coming in or something. Going, I'm gonna fill in. I've got this great idea where Transformers land on Tatooine or whatever. Like, I don't want that. I thought that this was so masterfully done. Remember when we used to say, what use is a prequel? Who cares?
Right.
We know how it ends. What this show did was it showed us what the use of a prequel is. It showed us how this show progressed is a template, and the budget was massive. So I don't know if there'd be an appetite to do more like this, but I think you could easily continue this story. I think you could get Tony Gilroy to do another period of time. And one thing is for sure that we can agree on, and that Andor is 10 billion times better than that shitty sequel trilogy that they threw our way, that nobody wants to see again. Come on.
Yeah.
This is embarrassing. I find the sequel trilogy even more embarrassing when you look at what they did with these 2 seasons of a TV show.
Yeah, that's very true. I agree.
So what do you think? What would you like Tony Gilroy to do now? If
I like him to do whatever he wants to do. I don't care what Tony Gilroy does. I just would like them to continue making good Star Wars stuff. We don't have to keep putting a single person in charge of these things. I think that's part of the problem. Did you see the new Superman trailer, Kenton? Did you see that?
Yes, I saw. What do you think?
It seems that you feel the same way as I do about it, because it does not look good.
No.
And this is what happened. They put James Gunn in charge of the whole thing, and he's the big guru because they're trying to replicate what Kevin Feige did with Marvel in the early days. But it's a completely different world now, and one person can't do all. So that's their biggest mistake. And so I don't know. I just want them to continue. I hope they did this, encourage them to not to take more risks, to show us more adult themed content, more, it's like The Wire. It also reminded me of Breaking Bad in times because they have
totally Breaking Bad,
moments the whole having the whole episode about Luthen was a very Breaking Bad thing to do, right? Where they just would focus whole episode like that. So that whole it makes me think of all those awesome shows that came out in the early days of what they call the golden age of television, right?
Well, remember in Breaking Bad, that very much like The Shield, which I was talking about earlier. Breaking Bad, the whole thing was, oh my God, his brother-in-law better never find out that Walter White's a drug dealer, because if he finds out, that's when it's all going to hell, and then nothing can. And so we went on, and the stress and the tension until the episode where the brother-in-law does discover that it's him. And it's just, at that moment on, it's unstoppable. We're moving ahead, and lots of terrible things are going to happen in a row. You're right. Andor does have that similar, we know people don't make it to the end.
Well,
so we know.
And I just want them to do more stuff like that. If they keep doing Skeleton Crew, fine. That's a more kids-focused one. They can keep doing stuff like that. I just think they should, and again, I don't care if it's Tony Gilroy or whoever it is, just continue, just do a little more vetting. Go through a little more rounds of revising those drafts. Have a little more Revnog before. I like the Revnog, the references to Revnog in this. That's our new Star Wars booze.
Yeah, why not? Let's produce it. I think I don't how old do you think you have kids, so you can answer this question.
Okay.
How old should a kid be before he or she watches Andor? How old would you think that kid?
Well, I think I would be okay with my kids watching it. So my youngest is 14, and I would be okay with him watching it. He sees worse. He watches horror movies, so
Right.
it's nothing that he hasn't seen. And it's like, yeah, there's nothing here. I mean, even like the one thing they didn't go down is the sex, where there was no gratuitous sex or nudity or anything. That's the one HBO thing that they didn't do.
Well, there was the rape,
sex.
the implied,
Yes, that too.
the officer assaulting her with
Right.
intent to rape, and the word rape comes up, and that's harsh. That's harsh in a Star Wars.
For sure. Yeah.
I think I could have watched that at age 14, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think I think, I think at that point you learn about things that happen in the world.
Sure.
For your own like safety, you learn those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So but I think I think once again this could have aired on HBO, but I love it. I don't know that we want a distinction between adult and child Star Wars. But the next thing we're gonna see is Mandalorian and Grogu, I think, Star Wars related. If not, well, maybe
That's gonna
Ahsoka.
be family Star Wars. That's all, everybody loves that one.
Maybe
So the
Ahsoka
child
season.
Star Wars is, sorry, the child Star Wars is more of the kid stuff, like the cartoons and that kind of stuff. But I do think Skeleton Crew is like, I think they are going to try and aim these at different audiences. I think that's part of what the Acolyte was. It was trying to aim it at a different audience that they didn't hit. Right. That's what it was, an experiment and it failed, and that's going to happen. And there might be some more of those. We might get another shitty series, but it's okay because you make better things when you learn from your mistakes.
See, the thing about the leaked Mandalorian trailer that I watched was hilarious. Funny. Joke. And I was like, oh, okay, this looks like a whiz-bang day at the movie. It looks like a good, fun popcorn film that everybody's going to get a kick out of and maybe reawaken Star Wars in the movie universe. And I think that's perfect for that.
Yeah.
But I want to see that too. But it also, I mean, it's funny that you brought up the Acolyte, because I was thinking a year ago we were watching the absolute shittiest Star Wars has ever been, to the point that people were just like, it's dead, it's over. Like there was people doing reaction videos going, I can't do it anymore. Like I need a break. This is awful. Like I'm just sick of saying this is terrible.
Yeah.
And even after we watched it, I was like, oh my God, like that was just a badly written show. It was so badly written, with a couple good moments maybe in the show, but it was so bad. Then a year later, we're watching the best Star Wars ever made. Like, holy. So I don't think the problem is, I don't think it needs to be micro-targeted, but I think making it good, like you're suggesting, I think that's what it comes down to.
Taking the time to really make sure that you've got a good product, you've got a good story, good characters, everything. There's so much attention to detail in Andor, like it's incredible, the kind of stuff. And I'm looking forward to watching this again. The second season, I don't know if I liked it as much as the first season. I really liked that first season of Andor, but the second season is excellent. These two, and I'm glad it's it. I'm glad we're not going to get any more. It's like the two standalone seasons and the movie. Nice little kind of couple hours of entertainment for you if you want to watch it on a Sunday afternoon. I don't know. It's nice. I don't want any more of this. I want a different kind of Star Wars now.
I think the gap between season 1 Andor and season 2 Andor, that was a long wait.
It was, yeah.
For season 2. And so, but we got the quality that we wanted.
That's right.
So I don't mind. But I do think watching it all in a row now, and I look forward to doing that too. I think that'll be a rewarding experience, because at the beginning, remember at the beginning of the season, I was still I was like, what happened here again? And who did what to whom? And what, like, where did we leave them? It was still, it was just so long ago that I couldn't remember some of that stuff. So I think watching it all in a row will improve the whole experience. And as I say, watching Rogue One now, holy, what a totally different thing.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that I thought that was true of Rogue One, I was wrong about. Like Darth Vader actually isn't in Rogue One as much as I thought he was.
Okay.
Like that for one.
Yeah.
Jyn Erso is not dominating that film in a way that I remember it. Like there's a few things like that where I was like, that was some of my complaints, and I watched.
Just dominated the marketing for the movie. That's all I remember seeing.
I remember thinking she's climbing too much stuff in this movie.
Yeah.
She has too much, like the ladder, the thing at the end. I thought that was kind of video gamey at the time. But I also forgot how great those two the keepers.
Oh yeah.
Chirrut and Baze. I forgot how freaking great those two are. They really are great.
Is it Donnie Yen? Is that his name?
Yeah.
I just watched him in John Wick 4.
Oh yeah.
Very good in that.
Yes.
And he's very good in the John Wick movies. And I think he's getting his own John Wick spin-off movie, I heard. But he's a very good actor. And he plays a blind guy in that too. I don't know. At first I'm like, is he really blind? Because he's another blind guy, but no, he's just good at playing blind people.
He is good at as George Lucas says in the Return of the Jedi book, he's like, we'll make Han Solo blind because Harrison will love it because actors love playing blind.
That's right.
He's like, basically, he'll be blind. Like that'll get Harrison Ford back on. That'll get him to stop saying that Han should die. We'll just make him blind.
There you go.
Yeah, he'll love playing that role. So that, yeah, but Rogue One is a better film than I gave it credit for 10 years.
All right, well, I'll
say,
give it a watch.
With a couple of small complaints that I still have about it, but overall, I actually think watching Andor season 1 and 2 and Rogue One in a row, that might be the best Star Wars. That might be. It might be. Maybe. Well, I don't know. Like it might even be for a new viewer. I don't know. That might be the way to go.
I don't know. I'm not ready to say that. Okay, well, let's leave it there. Next week, we're going to do Media Nerds. We're going to talk about AI. We're going to have some AI conferences at work next week. And so we're going to talk about not the specifics of the conference, just our own opinions about where we're going with AI in our world, in our areas of expertise. Because it's over. We've talked about it before, but I think lots happened since the last time we talked about it. So let's come back to that.
Yeah. I think that'll be good. Oh, and by the way, I was reading a book. The Jesus and Mary Chain have an autobiography out, the band.
Yeah.
And it's a quick read, and it's done. It's like Jim William. Like they each get they describe sort of the same thing the way they remember it. And in the book, Jim says, I never liked Star Wars. He's like, I was more of a Star Trek guy. He goes, my kids show me the Star Wars films. I'm just like, nah, I need it rooted more to a real place, to Earth, for me to like it. And I thought I would like to tell Jim from Jesus and Mary Chain about Andor. Do you think?
Awesome.
It's a little bit. I think it is rooted. I think it's rooted in a way that
feels more like Earth than lots of other Star Wars. So does a Skeleton Crew in some ways as well. That just makes me think of I used to have a Jesus and Mary Chain t-shirt in high school. It was my favorite t-shirt. I think a girlfriend stole it from me. It went missing. I don't know what happened to it, but I loved it. It was like a Jesus and Mary Chain logo on it. It was awesome. Anyway.
Dan, if I find one, I will buy it for you. But I have one. I have one from the concert. I saw them in Vancouver.
Oh, nice.
And it was a reunion at that point, and they're playing the whole first album. When I wear that shirt around, more than any other shirt, middle-aged men are like, I love that band, or I love that album. like it's the mark of cool, is that shirt. So you need it. You need that shirt.
I have to get it again. I'll look for it.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to do it for this episode of the Star Wars Nerds. I'm Dan Vadabunker.
I'm Kenton Larson. Don't let the Force hit you on the ass.
Going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
Now I am the master.
I'm taking an awful risk, baby.